Yo, what's up, guys? For Smark Week, my name is Chase, along with Ethan, and this week we are talking about episode 4 of AEW Dynamite. Does Cody Rhodes now stand a chance against the Inner Circle now that he has, quote unquote, Team Cody? Ethan, what do you think, man?
Uh, I don't know, man. I don't know. That was a nice little throwdown we had last night. A little scuffle. Things got interesting.
Dude, I wanted to start off with it because it's easily my favorite angle of the night. Like, I really like how AEW episodes, like, they don't focus a whole lot on, like, the backstage shit. There's not constantly, like, stories going on, but they always
Yeah.
make sure to do, like, one big angle to make sure to push their main title because that's the big picture. Um,
Yeah.
and I think this one delivered huge, dude. Big pops. I honestly did not think we were going to get MJF, and I certainly didn't think we were going to get DDP. I assumed that those last two spots were for the Young Bucks. Even after MJF
Yeah.
came out, I assumed it was going to be 5-on-4 with the Young Bucks coming out.
Yeah.
So DDP was a really nice touch. His yoga must work wonders, dude, because he still looks fucking great. He's like 50-something years old, man. So,
He really does, dude. He looks terrific.
and apparently he can still go, dude, because he's just brawling with fucking Santana and Ortiz, no problem. But dude, the angle where MJF hands him his Burberry scarf, which I thought was super symbolic. Like, this is his favorite thing. He talks so much shit about how nobody can afford this thing, and because Cody needs it, he's gonna take it off. He's gonna hand it over to Cody.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really nice touch. Cody punches the window out with it, and then they just start brawling, dude. They brawl onto the Dippin' Dots, which I don't know. Yeah, dude, I was about to say, yes, Dippin' Dots tweeted to Cody Rhodes, and they were like, hey, if you promise not to hurt the Dippin' Dots, we'll name a flavor after you. How about Rocky Roads? And Cody said, yes.
Dude, I'd buy the shit out of that.
That would be amazing. Dude, if they just sold, like, AEW wrestler-themed flavors, it's like the CM Punk ice cream bars, but for AEW, dude. It's way...
Yeah.
This would be so cool.
Yeah, I'd be super on board with that. No, that so I always like to one thing that I think really helps kind of offer perspective on the show is a lot of times since it's on at like right in that sweet spot when Heather's going to sleep, like laying down. Heather, my wife, Heather, she's usually laying down watching the show, and I know whenever she likes something because she doesn't really she's invested in it because I am,
Yeah.
but she doesn't really care to the extent that you and I care. So whenever she quote unquote pops for something, I know it's good. And dude, she was
Definitely.
like, she was eating it up during that whole segment. And she's like, WWE's never done something like this. Like this is amazing. She's like, that's the greatest thing I ever seen.
Yeah,
And
dude, and
I'm just like,
I'm glad you bring that up because I actually have a couple moments that I want to talk about later, like where because I actually watched this one with my wife. She normally she's at work on Wednesdays, but she wasn't feeling well yesterday, so she stayed home. And there were spots where she was like, "Oh shit, that was impressive," and like to
yeah,
hear my wife say anything that's not insulting about wrestling is so surprising to me. Even New Japan, she talks shit about New Japan, but
yeah.
something about AEW, she's like, "Oh wow, that was cool." Either that, or maybe she's finally like, "I'm gonna stop talking shit about it." He clearly gets upset. Like, maybe it's about my feelings, but who knows? Either way, it's the first time I've ever heard her say nice things about AEW, so or wrestling in general. So I was pretty stoked about that. Um,
I mean, I'm telling you, dude. I know we're fucking biased. I know we are, but it's hard. It's hard not to be, and B, I really, really think if you have a casual viewer that AEW would catch their eye more so than the bullshit that you see on Mondays and on Fridays. I'm sorry,
dude, even on
but
Wednesdays. I mean, since you bring it up, the bias, let's rant for a minute, dude, because I got some feelings.
did you
Um,
see the numbers? You see the
I
numbers?
didn't. So we'll talk about that next because I did not see those, but I definitely want to hear them. Um, but the bias comes from, dude. I've literally watched the WWE my entire fucking life, and now at 30 years old, I'm sick of being fucked with. So the bias is 100% their fault. It's 100% their fault. I don't want to watch their fucking product. I
Yeah,
gave them one last shot with The Fiend, and they fucked it up. And even after I stopped watching, they kept fucking it up. They're still fucking it up. and I have no interest in it. Even Wednesday nights, dude. I was talking to somebody about it today. Um, not only what we talked about, we are mutually disinterested in NXT
Yep.
because we can get invested in these. Excuse me, we can get invested in these wrestlers. Some of them are incredible wrestlers. Adam Cole is still one of my favorite wrestlers in the entire world. The problem is I'm not going to get invested even in him as an NXT wrestler because one, he's either going to be stuck on NXT forever, and they have made that very clear that is their developmental brand, or
Hmm.
two, he gets called up to a main roster and they do nothing with him. I don't care to give my time or money or energy to that shit. And then another point that I brought that a friend and I were talking about today. I do not care to watch NXT because now that NXT is weekly in 2 hours and they're trying so hard to pull ratings from AEW, NXT is pushing storylines from week to week. Where like, hey, we did this happen so that this can happen next week, so that this can happen next week, so that this can happen next week. It's like every week is supposed to be a pay-per-view and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
There's no real story being built for the most part. It's just, hey, here's this thing. It's going to pay off next week. You better tune in. NXT used to have pay-per-views every, 3 months? Once a quarter at their
Yeah.
big four? You had so much time to build these storylines, these intricate things. There were entire episodes where you wouldn't see the world champion or whoever they were facing because that episode was built around, the fuck, what is it? The title that Roderick Strong has. I can't remember what it's called. That's
Oh,
how long
North
ago it came.
American
The North
Championship.
American Championship, or the
Yeah.
Women's Championship, or just a
Yep.
blood feud of some kind. But they would use the entire episode to build to that, and then they'd wait a week or two, and then they'd allude to it again, or you'd get a glimpse of it. But they had so much time, and they did such a good job of building these 4 or 5 matches that when a takeover started, dude, you had our full attention because there was this huge story, and we've waited so long for this payoff. And now, payoff is a week.
I told you, and I told you what did it for me, right? I mean, well, I know we talked about it, but it's funny, and I'm sure people side with me, and some people had the opposite reaction. I understand, but the Finn Balor situation, that was it for me because he comes back, right? That's their big, th- that's their big surprise. That's the big person they brought back, to bring notoriety to NXT or whatever it may be, to have that face on NXT. Uh, I don't care though, and I understand the argument. I get what people are saying that, what Triple H will book him correctly, and they'll blah blah blah. They already did that. They already did that. It was already successful, and
Yep.
then you bring him up. Yeah, unfortunate that he gets hurt, but you never ever ever make an adjustment for him on the main roster. He's up there for what, 3 years, I guess, almost.
Never got his rematch.
Never got his rematch, never did anything, by the end of it was getting squashed by fucking Bobby Lashley. Who fucking cares about Bobby Lashley? And now you bring him back on NXT. Why are we excited? Why do we care? What have you done to make him worthy now for our excitement? He's still, you know,
Yep.
it, it,
The only story you've
I
told
just
with
I don't get it. I don't get it.
the only story you've told with Finn Balor is that he's not good enough to be on the main roster.
Yeah.
Which again, much like everybody else who gets called up, it's like, okay, why invest my time? If he's not good enough to be on the main roster, this is supposed to be a temporary stop on the way up, not back down. So why do
Yeah.
I care?
You don't.
He's
So
not been
here's and
repackaged. It's not like they didn't do this story where like he lost his weight and he's working his way back up. It's
it's
just
because
he chose to. He
it's
chose to be
because
on Alyssa Brand.
they don't play by their own rules either, as we know.
They don't
They
have any
don't. They
fucking
don't.
rules, dude.
They don't. They'll set something and they don't run with it. They'll establish something and then they'll just throw it out the window the next week. We've seen that. We don't even have to go into that. But take it to this extent. What just happened with Tyler fucking Breeze? They bring him back to NXT. You're basically saying Finn Balor is Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, they're on the same level. And
I'm
don't get me
supposed
wrong,
to
I would love to
I'm
watch that
supposed
match,
Yeah,
but
but I'm
I don't
supposed to
care
get
about him.
excited. I'm supposed to get excited for Finn Balor.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. And now, You toss him in. What the fuck? Is he part of the Undisputed Era? Are they doing a Bullet Club knockoff? Like, do we need another? Why don't they just get the OC, bring them down, and just have a big fucking fuckfest orgy
I don't
in
know
the
why they
middle
didn't do
of the
that
ring?
on Raw, dude. Put Balor with the OC. He is part of the fucking club. Just put him in there.
He started it. He
It's
built
literally
it.
what people want. That's why they won't do it. Which is the most backwards bullshit. If it doesn't fucking hurt you, if it doesn't fucking hurt the wrestler, if it doesn't fucking hurt the fans, why not fucking do it?
Yeah.
And here we are. Fucking WWE is a goddamn pro wrestling wasteland. It's trash. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite. That's way cooler. It makes, dude, the feeling I get every Wednesday for AEW Dynamite is the way that I wanted to feel the past so many years about WWE. And what sucks is, not only did I, like, influence you to get back into wrestling, but the third person on our podcast, Jonko, I influenced him to get back into wrestling. So I fucking essentially ruined you guys' pro wrestling lives by saying, hey, dude, you should watch WWE. I used to bribe Jonko with whiskey to do it, and now that's the only way you can watch that shit. We used to call it getting raw, and we would literally buy a brand new bottle of whiskey, put it in the freezer at the start of the day. When Raw came on, we'd crack that motherfucker open, and as a house, we would finish it. And it was great, dude. We had Edge, Rated RKO was on at the time, CM Punk was running rampant, John Cena was fucking up the Nexus, but you can't win them all. Like, but I mean, overall, it was a really good time, dude. And now it's just like, I don't fucking care. You've ruined it. It's like a bad relationship. Eventually, no matter how many times they say they're gonna change, you just have to step the fuck away and realize they're always gonna be the shitty person.
Well,
WWE is a shitty person.
We have a new, somebody new to dance with now, and it's fucking incredible, dude. The
I love
feeling
it.
that I get, like, I'm excited for wrestling like I was when I was like 9 years old, waiting for staying up late to watch Nitro. When like, it feels great.
Definitely.
It's great. It's great to be invested in something.
I fully agree. And not only that, dude, but like Tuesday nights are a close second. With AEW Dark and NWA Power on, like watching them back to back, what literally NWA Power stops and then AEW Dark starts. Like, I don't know if they called each other and like, hey, we can really make this work.
Yeah.
But I love it, dude. Tuesday night is just as hype for me as Wednesday night is. But let's get into the show, dude. I could talk forever about how I feel as a wrestling fan right now. Actually, one more thing, dude. I don't know if you saw this yet, but this is relevant to AEW. There is a rumor right now that Tessa Blanchard's contract with Impact is coming to an end. Her dad works for AEW.
Dude, that would be
It'd be a game
a
changer.
huge.
Dude,
it would be a huge
her and Riho, her and Britt Baker, her and fucking anybody, dude. She's so good. She's so fucking good.
I think she immediately becomes, she's the cornerstone of your women's division if she comes in.
100%.
You build around her, and like even if you rush to put the title on her, I don't think anybody is going to be that upset at that, because you're gonna have I mean, look at what she's done. Look at her body of work. I mean, she could do everything. She's super impressive.
She's so
She's already wrestled Britt Baker. She's already wrestled at All In with Britt Baker. So
and
that'd be tremendous.
Wasn't Allie in that match also?
It was Madison Rain.
And who was the fourth person?
And Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green. Okay. Yeah.
Who unfortunately went to WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. She's with Zack Ryder, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for real this time, let's jump back. But I just remember that, and that's super awesome. So I wanted to throw that out there because it's reading the headline. I was like, dude, fuck yes, like that would be insane. We're not gonna go down that fantasy booking rabbit hole, dude, because this will change the entire theme of the podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, we still have to do a fantasy booking episode as well, dude. But
Patreon, man, that's gonna be one of our Patreon. That and doing like retro reviews for older wrestling shows. Those will both be Patreon tiers. That way people can vote on those.
Hell yeah. Dude, it's gonna be the last thing I'll say on that is, as always, like you and I always talk about, it's the crossroads. It's the crossroads, no pun intended. It's money or the love of the sport, or the
Yeah.
love of the love of wrestling. Which one do you want?
Well,
That's what it comes
honestly,
down
man,
to.
for a name like that though, I think even money's not an issue. None of the figures have come out, but Jericho's already said he's making more than he ever made in WWE. I have to believe that they are paying John Moxley a shitload as well. I
Yeah.
think they'd be willing to shell out some good money for Tessa Blanchard, and they've already said that they have fair pay for fair like gender pay, which
Yeah.
WWE does not. It's been released multiple times. Women get paid so much less, including top women
It's
like Charlotte Flair
yeah,
and Becky are both making way less than like.
yeah, it's bad.
At one point, Becky made less than fucking Kurt Hawkins. Like during the
Ugh.
man phase of Becky, she was making less money than Kurt Hawkins. That is a goddamn travesty. She main evented WrestleMania making less money than Kurt Hawkins, who opened the fucking show.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen.
No.
All right, for real, for real. AEW Dynamite. Last night started off, no intro, no pyro. Everybody's in the ring. They look like they're ready to fight. I know that that opening got mixed reviews on the old interwebs, on pro wrestling Twitter.
Yep.
Personally, dude, I loved it. I liked the fact that they were all there ready to go. It seemed like no nonsense. Like they came there to show out.
I agree.
And ultimately, that's what they did. The match was pretty fast paced. There was a lot of action going on, but I mean, you've got two quick teams like that, and of course you got Ray Phoenix in the ring. The shit is never gonna stop. He's constantly running around hitting somebody with some part of his body.
Yep.
What a treasure, dude! What a lucky grab that they got. Not just from Lucha Bros, but from Ray Phoenix in general. I think he really is my favorite wrestler.
Gee, he's quickly moving up the list of my favorites. I like the opening because I'm used to anytime that you have even take it to this extent, a lot of times shows, just like TV shows in general, if they have an episode of the TV show that they know is gonna have a lot in it, they'll either not do their intro or they'll do like a very, very cut down version of it. And
Yeah,
I mean that's the way it is. So to me, it immediately signified, hey, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in this episode, which
definitely.
is this. So that got me excited. And the match itself, I mean, is there even a point? And at this point, if Lucha Bros are in a match, is there a point in us trying to recap or anything? It's just like, oh, it was fucking incredible. All right, cool.
Yeah,
On to the next one.
yeah,
That's when I text you and was like, they're not humans. They're some form of space raptors that have evolved. I don't understand. I don't know what species they are, but the way they move is not human. And
I agree, man.
private party, man. I know, like I said, I haven't been the biggest fan of them, but I'll say two things. A, they are growing on me. I think they get better each week from what I can tell. And B, or two, I guess I'm saying, Mark Quinn has the best shooting star press
He
in
gets
in
so
wrestling.
much air, dude. It's like he just shuts the
It,
gravity off for a second. He just flips the switch, jumps up in the air, and he's like, "Well, shit, I can't come down if gravity's off," and then just turns it right back on, falls.
you know what I want to see, and this is getting way, way, way out ahead, but I want to see Mark Quinn versus Pac in a match.
That
I
would be
think
cool.
that would be fucking incredible.
See who can get more air on a, on a
Yeah.
shooting star. That would be really cool. Dude, I will agree though. The what sucks is I was more on Private Party side than you were going in, and
Yeah.
now your complaints are starting to rub off on me. I still think they're good wrestlers, but I fucking hate the coattails on their ring gear. Get rid of it, dude.
On Mark
It's,
Quinn's.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so stupid. I don't like it. Like I didn't care about it until you fucking brought it up, and now it annoys the crap out of me, dude. They did a close up on it when he was about to jump off of the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
It was just like a whole shot of coattails, and I'm like, oh, fucking, it's so stupid. And it's your fault, dude. It's your fault.
Dude, yeah.
Man, but like, I just like with the Jurassic Express, we knew Lucha Bros were gonna win this, but there were times where it's like, oh well, maybe Private Party is gonna take this, or um, maybe even not like we believe that they're gonna win, but they still like they looked so good and so legitimate as a tag team against a team like the Lucha Brothers. And it's one of my favorite things about AEW, the fact that nobody looks like a fucking loser. Um, like everybody can wrestle, and I'm gonna bring this up again later with one of the matches halfway through the card, because again that surprised me the way that they did it as well. But it's only because I'm conditioned as a prior WWE fan that some people are just better than others, and if those people wrestle, the better person is just gonna kick the absolute shit out of the other guy, no matter how good this guy may be in his own right. That's WWE. You're gonna get squashed. It doesn't matter if you're a household name yet. If The Rock shows up, doesn't matter who he wrestles, The Rock's gonna fucking beat you.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar shows up, doesn't matter who he wrestles, he's gonna fucking beat you. In my mind, Lucha Bros are on that high tier. Private Party is new, so of course they're not yet. But it's still cool to see them getting so much action there. The one thing that I will say, and I didn't notice it until it was called out, but I do still think it was a good call. JR made a point about halfway through the match, talking about how nobody was really trying to win the match yet, how there hadn't been any pinfalls, and I thought that was a really nice call. Commentary again, dude, on fire, #killing it. Bringing a lot of extra to the match that was already incredible on its own.
Yeah, I agree. I thought so. I don't know if you noticed this. It's a very very minute detail, but one thing that happened at one point that I thought was weird. Um, so there was a tag made when the ref had her back turned, and like nothing happened. The match just kind of went on, and I thought it was a little weird that like usually if somebody tags while the ref's back's turned, the ref will like acknowledge it or will like try to get them out of the ring like no, there wasn't a tag. So I'm like, did she hear the slap of the hand? I
Well,
don't that was it was
that's been brought up
very
quite a
small.
bit for AEW, like in all of their tag matches. Like, there's always that breakdown where everybody's in the ring and it doesn't seem like the ref tries to break it up. But I think that's just like it comes down to ref's discretion. They clearly are doing a more indie style thing, and in the indies, that's not uncommon. Like those breakdowns happen. In fact, those are the most exciting parts of the matches. Young Bucks matches depend on it. Like if the ref was keeping everybody out of the ring that wasn't supposed to be in the ring, the Young Bucks would be rendered useless. They could lose to anybody.
That's true.
If they can't Meltzer driver you fucking win, dude. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the secret. Get the ref to pay the fuck attention during a Young Bucks match, and you win. But yeah, I've seen a lot of complaining about that on Twitter. I probably should care more, but again, because it's they came from the indies, that's the wrestling style that they're used to. That's the wrestling style that I've been watching more often. Like,
Yeah.
I just kind of don't focus on it as much. I did notice also at one point while we're talking about tags, Pentagon tagged Rey Fenix at one point, and again the ref wasn't looking. The ref just went and like, which is the thing saying like, hey, they tagged, but the ref was not looking whatsoever. Just like, oh yeah, Phoenix is in the ring now. Yeah, they tagged. That definitely, I saw it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you were like fucking staring in the complete opposite direction. You're just gonna take their word for it? Like he was like, hey dude, I swear to you, on my mother's life, I tagged.
Tag.
I tagged him.
I think
And he's like,
I
dude,
think
you're not gonna
that's
put your mother's life up for no reason. You definitely tagged him.
I think that that's something probably wrestling purists will have more of a problem with. It doesn't really bother me, but last night was one of the first times that I was like, and I think what it was is I was just so like zoned in, like I was watching everything, like I was taking it all in, and I was just like, hey, wait a minute, hey, yeah,
You can't do that.
but it was probably, man, yeah. I hate to start off with it, and go downhill from here, but it was probably my match of the night, man. It was. I really, really like the Lucha Bros. Like I knew what to expect, but even so, just Ray Phoenix.
He's
I don't
incredible, dude.
understand. He's got to be he's at least like 65% feline or
Yeah,
something.
I
He
agree.
doesn't, he just walks on the ropes like it's like no big deal. It's
So I
crazy.
said earlier that he's my favorite wrestler. I want to rephrase that because I have my favorite wrestler, but I truly think he's the best wrestler, and there is a difference. For instance, I think Breath of the Wild is the best Zelda game, but it's not my favorite Zelda game. I just recognize that it has so much more than every other Zelda game. Same thing with Ray Phoenix, dude. The motherfucker can do literally anything he puts his mind to. I'm fully confident in that. He could be a good bad guy. He could be a good guy. He's an incredible wrestler. The dude could legitimately win like 1-on-3 matches, and I'm like, yeah, of course he did. He just kept kicking everybody. Nobody got to do anything. He was just flipping and doing DDTs to everyone.
Here's the fantasy booking for you: Ray Phoenix versus Kazuchika Okada. Can you imagine? Oh my god, dude!
Well, good thing you can only see the top half of my body because I'm erect now. So thanks for that.
Oh man,
that's a real dick move on your part, dude. Who knows? Maybe we'll get that somewhere down the line. Even, dude, I want to see Phoenix versus Omega in AEW because I didn't see the whole match from AAA, but I saw clips of it and fuck.
Oh
dude,
my god, yeah.
They threw down. I'm very excited about that, but I truly think we'll see both of the Lucha Brothers as single stars at some point. I look forward to it. They're awesome on their own just as much as they are on a tag team. So, cool. Moving along, the second semifinal match to determine who's going to fight the Lucha Brothers for the tag team titles, the first ever AEW tag team champions. Next week we have SCU, once again comprised of Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, because Christopher Daniels is still not yet cleared, versus probably my least favorite tag team in AEW, and that includes Hybrid 2. Because Hybrid 2 at least is a good joke tag team in my opinion. That's what they're going for. They're clumsy and they lose a bunch. But this tag team is supposed to be taken seriously, and I just don't get one half of it. The Dark Order. Dude, if they had won...
What an introduction. Yeah, what an introduction.
If they had won and it was because Stu Grayson was in the match the entire time, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But fucking Evil Uno, dude, looks like he looks like he is smuggling fucking fat that he stole in a human suit.
He looks Evil Uno and his evil titties. He looks like he looks like a big like just cottage cheese just moving across the ring.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So I don't want anyone, any watchers, any viewers to think like, oh, well, they're shaming because he's a big dude. There are big guys who can legitimately wrestle. Kevin Owens is a heavy-set guy who can fucking do crazy shit. Samoa Joe can do crazy shit. I'm not a fan of Ace Romero, but I think even Ace Romero is so much better than Evil Uno. Dude, he's just so bad. He is not appealing in any way whatsoever. No. He looks dumb. He's slow. He's clunky. He is literally, dude. So here's the analogy that I'm gonna give. Stu Grayson is Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
All right.
Evil Uno is the weighted armor that Goku wears to get stronger. Because Evil Uno makes him fucking less good. Evil Uno slows him down, and then when Evil Uno gets thrown out of the ring, Stu Grayson comes in and gets to do what he can actually do. And that's... Dude, it's so sad. I want Stu Grayson to be a singles wrestler so bad. The motherfucker looks like Kratos the wrestler. I can get behind him. If Evil Uno could get his shit together, I could even get behind him. I don't need you to be in great shape. I need you to have good wrestling shape. And there is a difference. Dusty Rhodes was a big guy who could still wrestle. Evil Uno was fucking not.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get the Dark Order. They haven't grown on me at all. Like, dude, I don't.
They're not growing on anybody. Like, their reaction is either negative or silent, which is worse.
Yeah.
And what sucks, what's crazy to me is they come out with these minions, and last night there was a minion that was jacked to shit, and I was just like, make that guy your partner. That dude's huge. He's buff as fuck.
Yeah.
Surely he can fucking take a bump. kick Evil Uno's ass out. Be like, hey, dude, I got you a Gold's membership. Come back in 6 months.
Dude,
Just do some cardio.
The Creeper, like, watch the Creeper debut as somebody and be like, yeah, I was a few years ago, I was a fucking Creeper. I was crawling around getting sat on in the
Yeah.
ring, and
I mean, anyone who gets sat on by Evil Uno has to be strong. Did you hear
all
JR
right.
make the joke about his weight, by the way? Where he's like, yeah, supposedly he's built at only 220 pounds. He's like, and I'm 6'5".
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Dude, JR with the fucking gems, man.
So what was what was your favorite part of the match? What was the when it
Um,
was over?
honestly, dude, I did like the match still. I talk a lot of shit about Evil Uno, but honestly, I think this is the best match that they've had in AEW. I just don't like him as a wrestler. I don't get it, and I still don't think he contributed a whole lot to the match. But I did really like the match because, of course, SCU is incredible. Stu Grayson is incredible. So you have 3 out of 4 awesome wrestlers. One thing that I was not a fan of, and I get why they did it, but they picked a bad spot for it. During the comeback of Kaz, we get the inner circle coming out, and they're going to their seats with the tickets and stuff. But it literally pulled all the focus off the match while Kaz is making this comeback. And then you come back in, and Kaz is doing like it's almost like a rest hold. I want to say it was like a leg hold, but he was just sort of holding it there, giving them time to walk to their seats. And it's like, it just killed the comeback that was otherwise supposed to be like, oh, fuck yeah, SCU's bringing it back. Like, the good guys are getting the advantage. So I think that kind of threw me off. But ultimately, I did really like, dude, we got some sick cutters in this match. I used to think that people did too many cutters, but AEW has changed my mind, dude. If you can do that many cutters, but do them all in different variations, please do.
Well, I'm partial to a springboard cutter anyway, and Scorpio Skies look so good.
So good, dude.
Kazarian looks so good. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give you sorry, I'm wiping a lot of cat hair off of me. My cat was laying on me. It is just copious amounts. I'm gonna say something that's probably a little bit of a hot take here. But honestly, I can't believe I'm saying it. I think Christopher Daniels kind of held Kazarian back a little bit because the tag matches that we were getting with Christopher Daniels and Kazarian, even the one at say like in Long Beach when they opened at New Japan, like it was sloppy as shit. Like it didn't look that good. In my opinion, it was just kind of all over the place, and there tended to be more missed spots and botched moves. Kazarian and Sky look great. Like they've looked
they do. They
pretty
work
much
really
seamless.
well together.
Like
and I will say, I mean, out of all of them, Christopher Daniels is the oldest one. He's the one who's been wrestling the longest, so I'm sure his body is a little more broken down. He's a little slower. I mean, he still has some very pretty moves, dude. His moonsault is incredible looking. And they do still put on some good matches. I mean, the ladder war they had with Young Bucks, and I believe the Briscoes were in there as it was a 3-team ladder war that they did, but they had some crazy spots in that match, and it all looked awesome. But Scorpio Sky definitely is the star in SCU. He didn't start out that way. He joined up with an already established tag team that had a lot of notoriety, and it's boosted his stock a lot. And now I venture to say that his stock is even higher than theirs, especially last week wrestling in one shoe and then no fucking shoes at all. I mean, he's no joke. The dude is legit. While we're talking about fantasy booking, dude, 1-on-1, Ray Phoenix versus Scorpio Sky, I would sit down with a bucket of popcorn and watch that match probably 3 times over, and I fucking hate popcorn. But I wouldn't hate that match. I'm ready for that. So, dude, he is the star in this match, 100%. Stu Grayson is definitely carrying his own team, but Scorpio Sky is almost in a way carrying like the tag team tournament so far. He's definitely had the highlights of the tournament. They've all been him. But of course we get the finish. They take Grayson out, which I think the only reason that Grayson was the one who had to take the fall is because they couldn't get Evil Uno up on their back like that. Because why pay for a chiropractor if you don't have to? And then Stu Grayson takes the SCU later. SCU wins. I'm stoked, dude. After the beatdown that we saw on Christopher Daniels by the Lucha Brothers, we now have Lucha Brothers versus SCU in the finals. I know they said that they save blood for pay-per-views, but I'm kind of hoping we get some red next week. I'm hoping that they make this thing a blood feud. I'm hoping Christopher Daniels comes back out and he's ringside. Even if he's like got a crush or a cast or something, fine. Let him be there. Let him be part of the decision.
What if he comes out in a neck brace?
Fine. Yeah, whatever. But let him sell the injury. I've got no issues with that. I just want him to be there for the match. I think it makes it feel that much more important. And then, of course, my personal prediction, Lucha Brothers are our first tag team champions. If SCU win, I'll be very surprised, but I won't be upset. That's the cool thing about it. Either way, they're clearly the people who should be in the finals, and both of them deserve to be tag team champions. So I'm good with it.
Yeah, I gotta go Lucha Bros, but I would have to agree with you. I can't say that I'd be upset if Kazarian and Scott take it. It'd be interesting. I think they would definitely it'd make for some interesting booking.
Yeah, dude.
Going forward.
And they could do the Freebird rule, so they could pass the belts around. I think that would be really cool too. Because then you could kind of get some singles feuds going with the third man. Or even just, I mean, a nice manager spot, dude. Like, there's lots of room for that in AEW. So I think they could make it work a lot of ways, and eventually they will certainly have the tag team titles to be able to do that with. But yeah, so moving on down the card, dude. We were talking earlier about like not squashing opponents who might seem lesser. I feel like this next match like embodies it even more so now that it's not unsanctioned this time. Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela. I thought that since this one wasn't like a weapons match, that Kenny was just going to wreck Janela. But there was some really good back and forth. Like, they let him get a lot of good offense. Honestly, if I had to do a match of the night, which I'm actually not, this is going to give it away, but my moment of the night was a segment, not a match. I'll let you guess which one out of all one of them. But this match was incredible, dude. They did really good back and forth. A lot of really good suplexes. At one point, Janela goes to jump onto Omega with a flipping senton. Omega gets out of the way, and Janela just splats on the ring apron, dude. I always cringe when I see people trying to do apron bumps. But once they're okay, I'm cool with it. But we've seen some scary ass apron bumps in the past year or two in like indie wrestling and non WWE promotions. So it always makes me cringe a little bit. But I also think Janela took one hell of a one-winged angel. He did a great job of like folding over so that Omega didn't struggle to have to like grab him. But the way that he landed, dude, he landed as flat as he could, his legs still up, and leaned over. Like, I'm surprised at how flexible Janela is, because Janela's not in the greatest of shape. Again, but he's a good wrestler despite the fact, like he's getting into good shape. He's in the process, and you can tell, like every week you can see that progress. So I really like that. But he's surprisingly flexible. So like he landed flat back and still was able to have his legs up, whereas like Omega fought who did he wrestle last week?
Joey Janela.
No, not on AEW Dark. He wrestled on regular AEW, right? The actual TV show. Did I make that up? I can't remember who it was he was wrestling, but you know what? You know what it was? It was watching the AAA clips of how he won. When he hit that, even Phoenix landed flat backed, but like he tried to get his legs up over, and I guess he just wasn't flexible enough to do it. So the legs came down, and then he brought the legs back up. But Joey Janela made it look so smooth. It was like one fluid motion. I really liked that. So, dude, I think Janela will be a star. If they do decide to go with some kind of mid-card title, I think Janela is probably the first person to hold that belt. They are making him look, even though he's not like winning a bunch of matches, they are making him look so good because he's wrestling all these like bigger guys. He held his own with Moxley. He's now held his own with Omega twice. And now we've had an actual wrestling match for him. So I think he's got nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They're doing a really good job with him. Darby Allen of making them look really strong, making them look like they can, take a beating, and making it look believable. And I think I can't remember if it was on our lost episode or not, or if it was last week that we were talking about the fact that people don't give Janela the props, that he deserves. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, especially when you start to see him get into some of these different feuds. Because, I mean, let's be honest, he's still very much an indie wrestler.
Yeah.
He's he probably was the indie wrestler. I think I remember reading an ESPN article where they were covering it. If they start covering something to do with wrestling, it's a pretty big deal because they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So you start to have him mix in, eventually wrestle somebody like Jericho and things like that. Like these are going to be situations he's never been in before, where he can actually showcase his talent. And I'm excited to see where it goes, man. I like Janela. He's not my favorite by any means, but I've definitely never been uh, necessarily like turned off of anything that he's done. I've always just been like, he's the hardcore guy. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be exciting to see him not just be the hardcore guy. I already like that in this match. Like you said, it was a wrestling match.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I like that.
Dude, one more shout out for Janela. The fucking fisherman buster that he hit on Omega looked so good, dude. I mean, it looked like borderline dangerous, but on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, instead of being more like a perfect plex where you land flat on your back, like it was almost like a fisherman like brain buster combo, but like Japanese
Mm-hmm.
brain buster. I don't know how to describe it, but he brought him straight down. They still landed safe. But when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, because it was such a quick counter and such a good looking fisherman buster. Um, Dude, I'm excited. I was not a fan of Joey Janela before AEW. I thought of him as the hardcore guy, and I was like, all this guy does is hardcore matches. Like, that's cool if that's your thing, but I'm just not about it. I want to watch some actual wrestling along with the occasional hardcore match. But yeah. So next up, and this is my favorite part of the entire night, which is saying something because there's already been a lot of really good wrestling up to this point. We get an entrance from Cody. Tony Schiavone's in the ring. They're talking about how they're going to face off with Chris Jericho, or how Cody's going to face off with Chris Jericho at Full Gear. Cody starts trying to talk about something. He said he's got some kind of big announcement. And then Jericho is interrupting. He's like booing, and they've got
Blowing the
air
air horn.
horns. Yeah, dude. Ridiculous. I think if this was anyone other than Jericho, this would come across as a little corny.
Yeah.
But this is Jericho. He's a bully. He's petty, and he's not afraid to fuck with you because he knows like you probably can't fight back. He has a group with him. So I think this is perfect for Jericho. Other heels, this would have just been like, wow, that guy's a child.
When he when he blew the air horn in the mic, dude, I was fucking losing it. Like, because you could tell at one point like he was starting to laugh
Yeah,
at just at the absurdity of it. And dude,
and
I was cracking up.
that's it's a good thing though. Like to see the wrestlers having fun with what they're doing. It
Isn't
shows
it
their passion
isn't it
for it.
fucking weird? Isn't
Yeah,
it weird to see people
it's weird
actually
how nobody who works for AEW has tweeted out their offer of resignation yet. So what a crazy concept where people just want to stay at their job. Man.
But like I didn't know if you're gonna go into it or not, but the comment, we're not at the other place, and
Yeah.
there's not an invisible wall, an invisible barrier to keep me from coming up there and kicking your ass. Like, dude, yes, wonderful.
I think I really like the comment. And the reason being is, both sides keep saying, this isn't a war. We're trying to do our own thing. This is clearly a war. Both sides know it. WWE is turning away AEW merchandise for their shows again. AEW is calling them out for dumb shit.
If it's a ratings war, then they're losing it. So
Yep. Yeah, they sure are. But yeah, dude. So there's a lot of really good like banter. MJF comes out, or well, we won't skip. So Cody, after making the comments of like, hey, there's not I'll break the fourth wall, and I can come up there and kick your ass.
Yeah.
He starts to climb over, and Jericho's like, you're not gonna come up here. I've got 3 buddies with me. 4-on-1, we will destroy you. And so Cody pauses, and he looks up at the ramp, and all of a sudden Dustin's music hits. Is it just me, dude, or is Dustin's music fucking an instrumental for Brain Stew by Green Day? It's just like, listen to it, dude. I swear to God, that's what it is. Like, you can fucking say whatever you want. I could literally take Billy Joel's voice and put it to that, or not Billy. It's his name is Billy something, right? The lead singer of Green Day.
Something Armstrong, right?
It's Billy Joel Armstrong, right?
That sounds right.
I think his first name is like Billy - Joel. Anyway, I'm not a huge Green Day fan. I was in high school, but
I don't know if I can name a single Green Day song.
But it definitely sounds like Brain Stew. It's
Idiot.
like, damn it.
Oh shit.
And okay. I heard it, and I was just like, what the fuck, dude? You stole that. Like, that's not yours.
That is a pretty similar riff.
It's so close. But anyway, he comes out. He's in face paint. He's ready to go. I think it's so funny that even when people show up in like suits and shit, like, it takes him so long to get ready that no matter what else he's got going on that night, dude, if he's got to show out one time, he's in full fucking paint, dude, because he's not coming out of it till the show's over. I love it. It's commitment to character. I fully embrace it. Thank you, Dustin. But Dustin comes out. Jericho makes sure to make the remarks. Cool, your brother's here. It's still 2-on-4. What are you guys, idiots? So, then after that, out comes good old MJF. Jericho's still unimpressed. Jericho says, what is he going to do? What kind of idiot wears a scarf? And that got such a huge pop from the crowd because of the reference to the fact that Jericho, and MJF has openly said in interviews, it's part of the reason he started wearing one. No. Let me rephrase that. People have asked him if that's why he wore one, and he said, I was wearing a scarf way before Jericho did, so maybe Jericho stole it from me. But you can tell that there's some influence there. Obviously, I mean, if you're going to be that good at heels, you're going to pull really good heel influences, and Jericho's one of the best. So, but he comes out and he's like, what kind of idiot wears a scarf? And it makes MJF laugh. He actually laughs because even he is like, you're a fucking hypocrite. Like, what the hell? But a really good moment there.
I felt like, and I think this is the case with Jericho quite a bit, but I think that he ad-libs.
Definitely. Dude, that had to be. Because even he sort of started to laugh when he said it. He's just grinning when he says it. He's like, what kind of idiot wears a scarf? And he's like, you can see, like, he's grinning now and showing his teeth. He thinks it's fucking hysterical. But I loved that comment. I thought that was like, that is, and I apologize because I'm going to sound a lot like a douchebag commentator. That is vintage Chris Jericho. And then, of course, at this point, I was like, all right, they're 3-on-4. We're going to get the Young Bucks out now because Santana and Ortiz are up there. They've got that feud going on. But we did not get the Young Bucks. What we got instead was a really nice opening of It's Me, It's DDP. Very generic fucking music. But his Titantron is 100% just DDP yoga. Like, it's all DDP yoga stuff, which I get. Cool. You got a company to run, you're friends, but you still, like, that is your brand. I understand it. But he comes out, and honestly, dude, DDP is still in really good shape. Is he in, like, one more match shape? Probably not. Nor do I think he's interested. But he came out and looked like he could at least, help scrap. So now that they've got 4, they gather up. MJF throws the diamond upside down as a pussy from Ready to Rumble, which a lot of people hate that movie, dude. It's one of my favorite movies. I've gotten laid to that movie, so I'm really fond of it. Yeah, dude, it was great. It's fucking stupid.
I watched that. I watched the shit out of that movie, dude. Fucking David Arquette.
I still think it's great, dude. Let me tell you, the triple cage does not work for actual wrestling matches. For a movie, it's awesome. I loved the movie. But anyway, so he comes out. They start heading up the stairs. Jericho, being the heel that he is, he rallies his team into a locked room with a glass window, foreshadowing. And in a really nice touch of, MJF every week after AEW is off, or after he makes his appearance on AEW Dynamite, he tweets out something about loyalty. But anyway, the door is locked. Cody looks at it, tries the handle. It's locked. He looks over at MJF. MJF takes his scarf off, hands it to him. Cody starts wrapping it around his fist. This is like this iconic item for MJF. So good that they made rip-off versions of it that sells merch. But this is his Burberry scarf. He's constantly talking about how he wears it because it's a symbol of his status, how other people can't afford it. But for his best friend in the world, Cody Rhodes, he'll gladly take it off. He'll get glass in it. It'll get cut up. Whatever, it's fine. He can afford another one. He's fucking MJF.
Yeah.
I thought that, like, aside from everything else, that was my favorite part of the entire segment, is the fact, no questions asked. He didn't try to fight it. He didn't pull some heel stuff like, Cody, just use your shirt. Or like, no questions asked, just pulled his scarf off. Cody put it around his fist, punched through the window, unlocks the door, and then brawling ensues. We get a brawl on top of a Dippin' Dots counter, which led to some really good tweets. Dippin' Dots did tweet out today saying, hey, Cody, if you promise not to hurt the Dippin' Dots, we'll name a flavor after you. How about Rocky Roads? And Cody just tweeted back, yes. Which I hope that comes to fruition. If Bubbly, the company, is going to send Jericho free shit for a meme, then I think fighting on a Dippin' Dots table should get Cody Rhodes his own ice cream. Why fucking not, dude? This is 2019. Let's do it big.
I would absolutely buy it, especially if they have it at shows at the very least. You know,
definitely.
Like, I'm gonna be like, hey, be right back. I'm gonna go get some fucking Cody Rhodes Dippin' Dots. Like, what a weird sentence to say,
dude. If they're selling that shit at the November 13th AEW show here in Nashville, yeah, we will definitely. I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna have my Inner Circle shirt on. I'm gonna have my fucking MJF scarf wrapped around that. I'm gonna have my John Moxley hoodie on over that. And then, because I'll be so hot from all the fucking layers I'm wearing, I'll just get some Cody Rhodes Dippin' Dot ice cream and just sit there and munch on it. I'll be totally fine. I'm about it. Dude, the amount of merch that I'm gonna have to carry out of that fucking arena is gonna be embarrassing. Cause, dude, if they sell it, I also want an AEW one of the varsity jackets they sell. They're so cool.
Like the one that doesn't Nick Jackson wear that one quite a bit. You're talking about the one that's probably like the different color sleeves. I think I know what you're talking about.
No. It's got they're gray. So it's like black with the AEW logo, but they have gray sleeves and it has like stripes on the cuffs. It looks like a Letterman jacket, like you would get from high school, but it's got the AEW logo on it.
That sounds awesome,
dude. It's so cool. I would wear that shit everywhere. It's gonna stink when I get it because I'm never gonna take it off. I'm gonna sex my wife in it. So, Aaron, if you're watching this, you're welcome. But so anyway, to finish up the segment, and I thought this was a really nice touch. Also, when they get pulled apart, they're trying to pull Jericho away with security, but Jericho is on his knees and he's like, "We have tickets. We bought tickets. You can't do this. I'm a ticket holder." And I thought that was such good heel work. Like, hey, I know we instigated this shit, but you can't do anything to us because we bought tickets. Which, one, is very dirty, but two, very not fucking true. If I attack Cody Rhodes at an AEW show, they don't give a shit that I bought a ticket. They're going to kick me out and probably arrest me. So for him to, like, think that was a viable excuse, I actually thought was, like, super funny, really good heel work. Because at this point, like, this entire segment felt like Jericho just having a good time.
Yeah.
Just him being, like, silly and almost, like, cowardly, but still, like, playing up the heel aspect. I don't know, man. I loved it. I thought it was perfect.
I was a huge fan. Like I said, you know, Heather was actually watching it with me. And she was into it, man, because I mean it was exciting TV, you know. Forget whether or not you're watching wrestling, it was just entertaining television. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Definitely. Um, yeah, dude. My wife was also like, she wasn't like super excited about like the drama side of the angle,
Yeah.
but when they were like throwing each other into stuff, she was like, "Oh shit!" She's like, "They just do this." She's like, and she was like, coming up with hypothetical situations. She was like, "Could you imagine like being at one of these shows and just being out in the hallway when the wrestlers bust out and they're fighting in the hallway?" I was like, "Aaron, that shit happens. Like that they didn't plant all those people. Those people just happened to be outside when Cody Rhodes and Jericho came busting out and fighting on a Dippin' Dots table." And she was like,
Yeah.
"That's super cool." Like, yeah, Aaron, wrestling is fucking cool. Like, I've been trying to tell you this. Ah, man. But just to hear her say, like, hey, this isn't. Because she's never said anything like that about WWE. She hears me talk shit about WWE, so I doubt she ever will. But I have
Yeah.
nothing good things to say about New Japan. She still doesn't like that. She thinks it's all silly. But um, it's proof that this is capturing a new audience, which I really like. I get to see that on a weekly basis, just because my wife happened to be sick and catch an episode, and she's like, "Oh, fuck, this is really good." Um,
Yeah.
that's that is very encouraging to me, because my wife does not like wrestling. If that was like a deal breaker for me, dude, I'd be so single. I've never dated anyone that liked wrestling. I don't believe they exist. Yeah, so if you're a girl there and you watch wrestling, the fucking lying. Um, sorry. But anyway, um, next up on the card, dude, we get the Young Bucks versus Best Friends. I honestly forgot this match was on the card, but obviously that explains why they weren't at the Cody angle, why they didn't come out, because they're fucking up next. You gotta warm
Yeah.
up a little bit. You gotta make sure you're not just getting all beat up before you go out and get all beat up. Um, Makes sense to me. Um, Best Friends, of course, make their entrance out with Orange Cassidy. I love that they are not going overboard with Orange Cassidy. He doesn't have his own matches yet. He's not doing any real wrestling.
I'm
Um,
about to plug in my laptop. You keep talking.
okay. I was wondering. I was like, "Are you leaving? What is happening?"
It's I'm just slowly backing
Yeah.
out of the room, like, all
You
right, bye.
you just hold up a sign that says "I quit," and then just. But yeah, dude. So I really like the fact that Orange Cassidy, they've been kind of slow progressing. He's doing a little bit in each match, but he's not like they're not doing a full on Orange Cassidy match like he would in in any other indie promotion where he's doing these goofy ass matches, because they are still a serious like competitive style of wrestling. So he doesn't necessarily have a place, but as a manager, I think he's perfect.
True. And he gets to work a much, much easier schedule, which I'm sure he
And
likes.
get paid a lot
Or
more.
or you have to assume he does at least. I don't claim to know what his schedule was, but
I think that eventually we will get singles matches there. I fully expect him to lose those matches unless something just absolutely crazy happens. Now, if he does like the acrobatic stuff and just like dodges a bunch of their stuff and rolls them up or something, he could probably get a win that way. But obviously, they're not going to do a lot of selling for, his his super kicks or any of that stuff. Like,
yeah.
I feel like that really undermines the product that they're trying to build. But as a manager and as just a member of Best Friends that doesn't wrestle really,
Yeah.
I think he has a really good role. He's in the Xavier Woods spot in the first year or so of New Day. He didn't wrestle. He was there. He was the mouthpiece. He played the trombone. He was the attraction, and then the other members brought the wrestling. And I think
Yeah.
that's what Orange Cassidy is doing for Best Friends. Uh,
I agree.
Perfect. Chuck Taylor looking so much better in this match. Like physically, that's another guy. Like he's never been really out of shape, but he looks like he drinks a lot of beer. Um,
Yeah. Oh, I
so
mean, I think he did. He had
I'm
a
sure he did.
he had a show around hanging out with people drinking beer, or hanging
Yeah,
out with wrestlers drinking beer. So
man.
yeah,
But I'm
living
I'm
a
glad
life.
he's getting back into better shape, because I like Chuck E. T as a wrestler, but there for a little bit, dude, he was looking really rough. Like during the first couple pay-per-views that AEW had,
Hmm.
um, the match that they had against Dark Order to see who got the bye, I
Yeah.
he did not look like he was a good wrestler. He could still move a little bit, but you could tell he was even slower because of it. So I like to see him picking up speed again. I really enjoyed Best Friends and Ring of Honor, New Japan, and I think it's cool that he's getting back to that. That way he can pick it back up. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. What do you got? I'd have to say out of all the tag matches tonight, this is probably the worst one. But that doesn't mean anything about the match's actual quality because
Yeah.
it was still good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This is definitely the one that I kind of checked out of the most, just because I knew that, the stakes, there weren't any stakes in it. I I appreciated the finish. I like that they went old school with the more bang for your buck to close it out, rather than the, indie taker, Meltzer driver, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And overall, I thought it was a good match. It had your typical Young Bucks beats to it. What I came away with from it, what I found myself saying in this match, I actually thought the best friends were going to go over at one point, because I was like, God damn, they are just they look so strong. Like, and Beretta especially was just kicking ass and cleaning house.
Dude, Trent Beretta is
Uh,
another guy that I really hope gets a singles run. Like he's so incredible,
yeah,
in and out of the tag team. Can't say
yeah.
enough good things about him.
That was kind of, I'm with you. I mean, I thought, Chuck Taylor looked looked the best that he's looked, both physically and just, in the ring. And overall, I thought this was by far their best match. And I don't know, some of that could be chemistry with the Young Bucks, but also just they looked like they were moving more fluidly than they have before.
Yeah, I mean, not
Um,
only that, dude, but
so
like their chemistry with Orange Cassidy is working so well now. Like they did the hug spot, but they got the ref in the way so that the ref couldn't see, and then that's when Orange Cassidy interfered and did the dive with his hands in his pockets. I
yeah,
really like stuff like that. That's something the best friends are gonna do anyway. Why not use it to try and win a match? Um,
I agree.
but yeah, dude, Trent Beretta easily the star of the match. Um, it's but I think he's constantly going out there and trying to steal the show. That's who he is as a wrestler. Um, when he was with Roppongi Vice, it was the same way. When he was a solo wrestler, like he may not have been given a whole lot of time, but damn, he was trying. But I definitely think we'll get some big things out of Best Friends as well. I understand that they had to be eliminated from the tournament for another team to go on, but I do kind of wish they had made it to the next round and then been eliminated.
Yeah.
We should have gave them the bye and let them have Dark Order's spot, or just let only Stu Grayson wrestle. Never mind, we won't get into that.
I'm not gonna go
but,
down that road again.
yeah. So as you mentioned, the Bucks do win. Obviously, this gives them a good head start going into their match with Santana and Ortiz at Full Gear, which they do accept at the end of this match.
Yep.
Very much looking forward to the Young Bucks versus not LAX.
Yeah. Yeah, not
Dude.
LAX has looked pretty impressive thus far.
I mean,
They gotta get they do you think they have to get a name? Do you think they have to get a
I
tag name? Or you
I
think
think
they
they'll
just
probably come
roll?
out as either Santana and Ortiz or Inner Circle. I think Inner Circle works for their group right now. Um,
Do you think they get a tag name at any point, or you think they just roll with
I think
Santana and
once the
Ortiz?
stable breaks, because I don't see them going to be singles wrestlers, at least not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Just because they were signed for to be a tag team and they are so good as a tag team. I don't think that AEW wants to split them. So I think eventually they will have their own tag name. I think it was just easier to throw, like, since they were already going to be in this faction, I think it was easier to just not give them a name right off the bat, because it's weird, like, hey, here's the Hispanic Connection, and that's a terrible name. I
Yeah.
apologize. I'm just coming up with some shit off the top of my head. But they're part of Inner Circle, and then now you have to call them both things. I think it
Yeah.
just gets confusing. It's easier to just say, yeah, they're Inner Circle. They're part of Jericho's Inner Circle. Um,
I agree.
Damn, dude, that match is gonna be insane. Full Gear is shaping up to be a fucking wonderful pay per view, especially, and we'll get into this later. Considering the way the main event finished, I'm assuming that's gonna get added to the pay per view as well. Bro.
Well,
And it has nothing to do with Matt Riddle.
you say that, but keep in mind you've already got Moxley versus Omega on the card.
Oh, well, could be a
But
triple
that's
threat,
like
dude. They can make that a triple threat easy.
That's exactly, and that's what I was asking you. I really wish I could remember when the last time we talked about
Because he's
that
feuding with
is.
both of them. I mean, he's
Yep.
constantly attacking both. Why wouldn't they just throw him in there and then have a spot in the match where they both just beat the holy hell out of him? Because he's such, and I mean this, I mean this pun intentionally. He's such a bastard. Fuck, he's an
Unintentionally.
asshole. But
Yeah,
anyway,
dude.
we're like jumping so. I have so many wrestling thoughts, dude. My head is like it's racing. Next up on the card, we get Britt Baker's return to her hometown. Well, her hometown. She said it's her home. It's the place she loves to be. Her hometown of Pittsburgh, aka Britsburg.
Pittsburgh.
It's gonna be Britt Baker versus Jamie Hayter. I honestly thought Jamie Hayter would get a better showing than this, only because she either is or was very recently. I believe it's the Stardom champion. I could be making that up. I didn't get a chance to do a lot of research. I worked all day today and then came home to do this. But she's very successful in Japan, much like a lot of the wrestlers that they picked up. But I just thought she would have a better showing. It wasn't a bad showing, but I didn't think she would like be put in this match and lose in her debut. So when they said Jamie Hayter before the match started last night, I was like, oh shit, okay. I mean, we got what we got.
I think, well, so I'm on the opposite side then, which I think is good because that can, give a different viewpoint. Is that I didn't know who she was, so I thought it was like like an enhancement talent or something like on par with that.
I mean, in NXT
And
she would be.
yeah, so
Shot.
she shots fired. I actually thought to the point where when you were talking earlier about like not squashing people and keeping people strong. So from my perspective, I go into this match thinking she's an enhancement talent.
They're
So
just pushing nobodies. Also, oh shit! Like the Brooklyn
so
Brawler looked really good in that match.
well, and so for that reason, I thought honestly, until today, which again, like you said, I guess I need to do my research, but uh, I thought here I am thinking that they actually put on a decent match with like this unknown, this person that's not this big wrestler, and I don't know, man. Like I could see where you could make the argument that they made it a little bit too difficult for Britt to beat her. But at the same time, I kind of liked the fact that it was an actual match and that it wasn't
Yeah,
just one sided because they could have very easily uh, made this just Brit a Brit squash in Britsburg and just be done with it. But I personally kind of thought it was refreshing that they didn't do that and that they had an actual match.
yeah. I don't know. I see it from both sides. It's just I know that she is a big deal elsewhere, so I thought they'd
Yeah,
make her kind of at least have her debut be a win and then have her face Britt Baker or something.
yeah,
But I understand she has to have an opponent, and if this is going to be her opponent, I am glad that it wasn't a squash. I'm glad she didn't just get in the ring and they were like, yeah, and then Britt just immediately puts her in the mandible claw. And for the people who know who Jamie Hayter is, they're like, what the fuck?
yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't think the match was bad. I was just surprised that Jamie Hayter lost in her first match, and I think that kind of soured it a little bit for me. Um, Making this, and I've been afraid to say this previously, but luckily I've never felt this way. But I'm gonna say it now, and it has nothing to do with the type of wrestling it is. The type of wrestling it is has nothing to do with that. But I think this is my least favorite match of the night. And again, it's because the Hater loss threw me off. Other than that, I think it was great. I love Britt Baker's finish. I think they are doing a really good job of building her as a star. And she got a really good pop coming out with what I assume is the mascot for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wouldn't know. Never seen the guy. Never seen that fucking thing before.
Yeah, I don't know. You mean you got the Tony Khan connection? Clearly he's works for the Jacksonville Jaguars, so I'm sure he just called and was like, "Hey, can we get Steely McBeams or whatever his fucking I don't know what his name is. I think his name is Beamer, honestly. Like,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
But
Um,
yeah, good pop, decent match. Nothing to write home about, but
Yeah, and here's another thing that really fucking threw me off. Again, so she lost. Okay, I get it. She wasn't gonna beat Britt Baker in her hometown. But then they like, hey, let's go to Jen Decker, who's talking to Jamie Hayter backstage. And they go back, and Jamie Hayter says all 3 words, and then, and I didn't even realize who this was at first. It caught me off guard because of how aggressive it was. I was like, oh shit, a debuting wrestler. Um, but she gets attacked from behind. She gets pushed into a bunch of shit. She's laying on the ground, and then she looks back, or the camera turns, and it's Brandy Rhodes. Again, super surprised. I did not think that of all the people that attacked her, it was going to be Brandy Rhodes.
Yeah, that whole thing was weird. It definitely caught me off guard as well. Like I exclaimed, I went Brandy. Like I was like, it was like I was like shaming her, like I was disappointed, and which I guess in that case means that it was good because it
Yeah,
got and it elicited that reaction.
and I
But then you
mean,
get that where she's like pointing at her, and I'm just like,
yeah.
this is
Well, she
strange.
made the tweet over the weekend that she was no longer going to come out with Cody Rhodes, and Cody
Yep.
retweeted it saying, uh, I appreciate or I respect your decision, and I wish you luck in your he didn't say future endeavors, but basically like in your
You're
aspirations.
fired.
Yeah, I wish you luck in your current aspirations, which very much hinted, hey, she's doing something else in the company.
Yeah.
But I did not think it was going to be like she's going back to wrestling. So now it seems like she's going to actually have a spot on the women's roster and be this like slimy heel that she was during the first pay-per-views, where she like brought in Awesome Kong when you thought she was going to put herself in the match and use this nepotism. But so we get this attack from her, but it just again it just makes Jamie Hayter fall so flat. And just like with you, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know who she was. And if you
Yeah.
don't know that she's this badass female wrestler, then now you're thinking, wow, she just got chumped twice in a very short amount of time. She is the hybrid 2 of the women's division. Um, or maybe she's just evil Uno in better shape. But either way, like, I just don't think it's a good look.
I did think there was something that caught my attention for sure during the match. Tony Schiavone's like, he goes, for a girl her size, she moves really well. And like I know what he meant. He just meant like a bigger, a bigger body. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
what a
Mm,
fine line to tiptoe.
yeah. And I don't think that they know better.
Especially with Twitter being a thing.
There's sometimes when they say things that definitely seem it shows their age. And sometimes that's
Yeah,
good because their age also means they have like this knowledge of pro wrestling from years gone.
yeah,
But also sometimes they say it and they're like, "Well, I don't know what tweet is," ha 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 ha, and it's like, "Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
stop talking." Um, but for the most part, it's good. So I'm not super worried about it. But there are
yeah.
times, and then like Jr. will like fumble over people's names, and it's like, it's not a good look, man. Like it's your main job is to be able to talk these dudes up, and if you cannot tell me what their name is, I don't believe anything good you have to say about them.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't know. That's a minuscule thing. Um,
I agree.
Next up on the card, and this is the final match of the night. Um, Heavily anticipated. Um, John Moxley versus Pac. Awesome match. One thing I want to talk
Short
about.
match.
Yeah, not terribly long. But I was actually keeping up with time, so I was like, when the fuck were they doing this match? Because we mentioned this earlier, but there's a lot of stuff crammed into tonight's card. There's a lot of stuff they wanted to get done. I think they overall did a really good job of it, but there's some stuff we could have just done away with. We didn't need the Young Bucks versus Best Friends match. As good as it was, we could have just had Young Bucks come out, do a short segment, say they accept, save some
Yeah,
time, give more time to this main event. um,
I agree.
but they did come out, and they brawled, dude. They gave us exactly what we thought we were gonna get. With these two, there wasn't a whole lot of technical wrestling. There wasn't any like really like insane spots. It was just a lot of them beating the holy shit out of each other.
Yeah,
And that is 100% the kind of match that we need with two guys like this. One thing I do want to talk about before we get into the actual match, AEW Dark, they showed a promo from Pac, talking about John Moxley. You want to betray me in our tag match and give me my first loss? He's like, well, tomorrow night I'm gonna show you why you should never mess with a bastard. And he's got blood on his face and his hair is a mess, dude. And the first thing I thought when he's cutting this fucking just intense promo is, how did WWE fuck this up? Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
they saw him as fucking Mighty Mouse when he has all this potential. Vince McMahon looked at this fucking star and said, this guy would be great as a Mighty Mouse gimmick. And no one was like, Vince, that's fucking stupid.
I'm sure people were, and he was like, "Well, I don't think so. I think it's good shit."
I doubt.
And
He surrounds himself with yes men. I'm sure all of them were like, dude, Mighty Mouse is so relevant in 2015.
that's
He
true.
should definitely be
I can see that as well.
Yeah. Vince, you're a fucking genius. We should make him cut his hair too. Like, just we should call him Shorty N. Man, it's just, it blows my mind to see the abilities that these wrestlers have.
Flippy Neville.
Yeah.
Flippy. Awful.
It blows my fucking mind, dude. It blows my mind.
As we pause to reflect on
this guy got beat by fucking Enzo Amore, dude. Enzo Amore beat him fucking clean, man. No wonder he wanted to quit, dude.
Yeah, that was it.
I'm saying the words and it makes me want to quit. And I've never had a job there. I've never had a job that pays anything like that. And I'm just like, not for me, dude. It's just so ridiculous. Fuck. I'm just getting mad now, dude. I'm just getting mad. Fucking.
But so I don't know about you, but for me, this match was kind of, I don't know, man. It felt weird. Like it felt almost like I didn't want it as the main event. Once I realized, especially what they were going towards, you know, once I told, actually, I think Heather was awake at this point too. She definitely was, because I said, hey, check this out. She's like, what's up? I'm like, it's gonna be a draw. I was like, because you want to keep these two booked as strong as possible. And I said, and also listen to that. And you've got 4 minutes remaining. And then I was like, he's about to say 3 minutes remaining. 3 minutes remaining. I was like, he's about to say 2 minutes remaining. We're you know, alerting you to the fact of how much time is left in the match for a very obvious reason. We haven't done it all night, aside from the normal check-ins of, you know, like 10, whatever. Well, I think it's 10 usually they check in.
Yeah, well, so I think that's, but they just didn't get that close, because I believe that's standard. And they did that with Cody and Darby, right? They called out the time.
I can't remember,
but they didn't do the final countdown like they did for this match. And I think that's something that maybe they wanted it to be more clear that they ran out of time, so they learned from their previous mistake. Because I want to say they did give like minutes, but they didn't count down the 30 seconds.
I can't remember, and even like I know with Okada and Omega, you know, I know that at Dominion that it was the same thing, and I don't necessarily I don't have a problem with the finish, you know, with it being a draw. It's just like, I don't know. Part of me is like, if you're gonna book a draw, do you really need to book it? That's me playing devil's advocate. It's like, if you're gonna keep these two strong, do you really need, you know, why don't we just wait 2 or 3 months as opposed to having this little thing? Now, I will say though, I really liked how they kind of twisted it at the end with having Moxley freaking out, like what the hell's a time limit? What, you know, time limit, and you know, he hits the paradigm shift on the ref. I love that. Yeah. I thought that was great, because you gotta, at that point, if I'm a live crowd, you gotta give me a little something to pop for at that point, because I'm like, a fucking draw, like, really, like, this is what you give me the ref bump, I'm at least popping for that, you know, I'm at least like, hell yeah, okay. So I did like that, but overall, that's kind of how I felt with it. I was like, decent match, but was it what we needed? And specifically, did we need it as the main event?
So I'm gonna counter you. I thought the match was good. The count out did throw me off a little bit, But I think the count out is what makes the most sense, especially if they're going the triple threat route. You
Yeah.
don't want to have already seen a decisive victor between two of these guys. So you do get um, you kind of get to see, hey, these guys fought to the time limit. Now let's give them a match where it's all three of them and there's no time limit,
That would
and
be
let's get a
cool.
fucking winner. Let's get an actual winner in this
Yeah.
triangle of wrestlers. And I'm hoping that's what we're gonna get, because if it doesn't pay off like that or in some way similar, then I'll agree that this was a weird way to go. But if it's building towards something like a continued match, um,
Hmm.
then I think it's okay. It leaves you wanting more. You want to see a winner. I still want to see Cody versus Darby too. And in
Yeah.
fact, I think if Cody wins the belt from Jericho, then we'll probably see Darby Allin back in the title picture to get that rematch and get a decisive winner.
Yeah.
Because the first match was so good, why wouldn't we get a second one? Why wouldn't we want
Yeah.
that? Um,
Yeah.
but I'm hoping this is
Oh,
the same thing. It's too
but
early to tell, but
I will say one thing though, and that's that I don't envy the bookers for this triple threat, if we do call it a triple threat, or this storyline with Pac, Omega, and Moxley. I don't envy the bookers because that's a tough thing to book. How do we make everyone look strong out of this? Who takes the pinfall on
I
this?
I think
What?
I think Pac takes the win, because I am banking on Pac being the next number one contender for the title. I think he's legit as fuck. The dude is super angry. All of his promos are intense. I think we could get really good segments out of him
Hmm.
in the month to come, or however long they spread out their shows, because they're not doing a monthly. I believe it's like every 2 or 3 months they're doing a show.
Yeah.
Um, but spread it out. Let somebody else, just like they did with Darby, let somebody else get a title shot in between. That way Jericho's got something to do.
Yeah.
Um, but let Pac just absolutely run rampant. Let him fuck up the inner circle. Let him get a singles match with Jake Hager and let him fucking take him out. It can even be a DQ. Like, they do ref stoppage, but don't make it a fucking Hell in a Cell. Otherwise, it's just
Yeah.
stupid. Um,
Yeah.
but make it a regular match and let them do ref stoppage, um, where Neville loses, but he loses because he just beat the holy crap out of this guy, and they can't
Yeah.
warrant pulling him out of the title match because of it. Um, but do something like that. Build this guy up, because he doesn't need to be a face or a heel. His enemy is literally everybody, and it's such a good way to go. I think it's too early to see Omega versus Jericho again, and I
Hmm.
think it's too early to push a guy who came from WWE so soon as your world champion, or even as your number one contender, because then it's just like you'll get the people comparing it to Impact, or saying, hey, it's just WWE light. They're just taking WWE's leftovers. When in reality, Dean Ambrose at one time was the most over fucking guy in the WWE before they started making him walk around with a fucking plant and doing hokey shit.
Yeah.
His words, not mine. But yeah, man, that's my hopes. So if it builds to that, sweet. If not, fuck. I hope they have something planned.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, and that's a good problem to have though. When you talk about problems,
Yeah,
when you talk about the fact that any of these guys could be the victor, that's a good problem to have. An even better problem, or an even better situation for a fan, because how can we know what's going to happen? How can we guess what's going to happen? We can't. There's too much. AEW right now has established too many key players and too much strength for us to know who is this or that.
yeah.
Especially when you factor in, if we end up moving towards like a mid card belt eventually or whatever. Oh my God, you've got Janela, you've got Allen, you've got Spears, MJF. I mean, it's all up in the air.
And
So
all those guys are
and you're
borderline main
booking
event as
what?
well. Like
Yeah,
it would only take a couple of victories over the credible main event that they've set up, and then all of a sudden
yeah,
these guys are main eventers also.
yep.
And I like the
And
fact
it's
that people have like off spells. Like Kenny Omega right now would probably be considered a mid carder if they had a mid card belt. He would probably go because of his record. He's not
yeah,
getting a world title shot anytime soon,
yeah,
but he could still go after a mid card belt, and I think that would be totally viable. And I like that. I like that because of, sometimes you got hot streaks and sometimes you're just not doing so well.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you're a bad wrestler. It just means right now, your win loss doesn't look great. Um, I don't know, man. Shit, that's all I got.
I mean, it's like I said, we're in the situation where we get to just sit back and enjoy whatever they come up with. I'm not watching with trepidation. I'm not watching like, please don't fuck this up. And
Agreed.
that's a refreshing thing to know that there's a something that we're actually gonna watch, that we're not just sitting there worrying the whole time. Are
Yeah.
you gonna mess this up? I've
It,
got full faith that they're gonna give us a solid product. Um, and it's closing in November 13th in Nashville, dude.
mm,
I cannot fucking wait. It's gonna be incredible. We get the full gear Fallout.
yes, dude, and potentially Marty Skrull.
Oh my god.
You got my hopes up now, dude, and
Whew.
now I want it. I need it in my life. Shit, tell him to bring Flip Gordon with him. Let's do
Oh
it.
man, that'd be incredible.
Man, but all right, guys, enjoy it. We definitely have. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying it as well. Make sure to let us know in the comments what you thought of the show, what your favorite part was. If there's anything that you didn't like, let's talk about it. I don't know if you knew this about us, but we fucking love talking about wrestling. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, click the little bells. That way your notifications are on for when we go live. You can come hang out with us, chat us up. And we actually, so we have a private Discord that eventually will probably turn into a public Discord once we start getting some more subscribers and some regulars. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. But there was a question posted in the Discord just amongst us OG Smark Weekers. So I want to throw it out to you guys as well because I'm curious about your answer. And this question comes courtesy of Ethan this week. The question is, if you could get rid of one wrestling move just for the rest of time, what would it be and why? So make sure to throw that below as well. Guys, for Smark Week, I'm Chase.
I'm Ethan.
Have a wonderful time. We'll see you hopefully Tuesday, if not Wednesday. See ya.